שהכל נהיה בדברו. Okay, Parashat Bereshit. Every time we start Parashat Bereshit, what's incredible about the parasha, aside from all the detail and complexity of the parasha itself, it's the blueprint. And that's a very beautiful thing. You know, we're lucky to be a nation, Am Yisrael, that has the blueprint of the world. And when a person really understands the world's creation, the intent, how things were created, then things start making a lot more sense and are much easier to handle. I'll give a small example. The married people will understand this really well. The single guys, you'll understand it well in a few years, and you'll still understand it, but you'll see it more vividly true. But a husband and a wife is a perfect example of something that you directly could learn from Maaseh Bereshit. Something as simple as going to the supermarket is a completely different experience for a man and for a woman. And when they're together, it's very interesting. So you're looking for, croutons. And you never bought croutons. So you're like looking around. As a guy, it's like, I'm not going to ask somebody, I'm going to find it. All right, let's see, where is the crouton section? Let's go. Wife's like, just ask. Asking, I'm finding it. And in the middle, he's looking, and she's like already looking for somebody to ask to. Small example in life of the enormous difference between a man and a woman. It used to be before Waze and Google Maps, you would go for, a trip, you would take directions. If you made a turn that you weren't sure about exactly, so the man is sort of like, I'll figure it out. I'll get there. I know basically, the way you're supposed to go. This is a right turn here, a left turn there. And the wife is saying, no, I really think we should ask and find out where to go. It's a very different dynamic. And how does that emerge from Maaseh Bereshit? Very simple. The man was created a yachid. He's created a one. As a one, he's self-sufficient. Anytime he has to turn to somebody else, it's viewed in his mind as a chisaron, as a deficiency, as a shortcoming. As the woman, Hava was created, she was created as a secondary. Now there's a reason for that too, as why she was created second. There's a lot going on, but just on that very basic fact, she was never in the world alone. She was never in the category of levado. However pshat you learn the original creation, she was not levado. That's very clear. She was not alone. And therefore, in the nature, it's almost like always a need for somebody else to be involved. And that's a very big difference. Sometimes when couples sort of there's always this disagreement between couples. It almost always sides with the wife thinks we need outside help. We should go see a therapist, we should go see a rav, we should go see a doctor if it's a health issue. And the husband's like, nah, things are fine, don't worry about it, it's all good. Where does it come from? It comes from Bereshit. If a person understands Bereshit, he won't get upset. He won't view his wife as being, why doesn't she think I'm good enough? And the wife won't view the husband as, he's always to himself. Everybody will understand the creation much better. And therefore the blueprint is so good. My father would tell me, and really in truth it's a Gemara, it's Chazal, that a man is made from afar, mina adama. He was made from the ground. And a woman is made from bone. If you scratch something into a bone, you can't undo it. Once it's etched in, it's etched in. There's no erasing. You can't take an eraser and go ahead and start erasing a bone. But if something is etched into afar, into the ground, you go to any beach, you put in, you build your castle, you can just go and take it all down. And it's like it was never there. It's like a complete castle, it disappears. Is the nature of an Adam. He might be upset at someone today, tomorrow. If I give him a week, give him 2 weeks, he'll forget about it, they'll be best friends. As a woman is not that way. Her husband got her upset, her friend got her upset, she'll remember it for the rest of her life. It doesn't, 50 years later, you remember that, as if remember what remember, I don't remember at all. But they remember. As the pshat is, it's a different creation. It works differently. And the more we're in touch with Parashat Bereshit, the more we're able to understand the nature of a man, the nature of a woman, the purpose of a man, the purpose of a woman. I feel sorry for husbands that don't understand the purpose of their wives. What do I mean by that? So you know the Gemara, Dayan shemitzilot otanu min ha'etz, there's certain specific purposes. But the general purpose of a woman is ezer kenegdo. So a woman almost is built and like set to find flaws in her husband and detect them, seek and destroy mission. Right? This is how their mind is programmed. A husband that doesn't understand that will take everything offensively. He'll be upset. What does she do? Always on my back. Why is she always telling me this, that? As I put I didn't speak nicely to this child. I didn't go ahead and do this right. And things aren't clean enough to her stand. Why is she always driving me crazy? The answer is Eza Kenegdo. A person understands. That's the mahut of a woman. Not only does he not get offended, he says, Baruch Hashem, she's functioning, the piece of equipment is functioning the way it's supposed to function. If it was anything less than that, there's something broken. You got to go look under the hood and see what's going on, what's happening over here. But the minute a person understands Maaseh Bereshit, everything starts taking context, shape, form, and it's finally done right. The more knowledge a person has, the more a person is able to handle what's going on around him and understand it from that lens. And therefore, it's very important to understand specifically Parashat Bereshit. It's always true. It's true for the whole Torah, really, because every lesson in the Torah is a lesson in human nature, is a depth of understanding of how people work and how people don't work. It sort of always, it doesn't, I wouldn't say bothers me, but for lack of a better word, I'll just say bothers me, that people sort of view a shlom bayit has to be about a husband and a wife. And the only time a shiur is about shlom bayit is if you start off by saying, I'm giving a shiur about shlom bayit. Because it's not how it works. It's really a very big mistake. If there's a lesson about Moshe Rabbeinu and the way he handled Am Yisrael, that has everything to do with Shalom Bayit. It's just a question of you applying it properly and understanding the nature of and tendencies of a human being, and every element of the Torah is so very much connected to making a person a better person, and a better person is better for all. So it's not specifically to Parashat Bereshit, but Parashat Bereshit is certainly the most unique in its ability to give you that original blueprint that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, and what he wanted from man, what he wanted from a woman. Why did he create this? Why did he create that? Also in its nature, because Adam was created as one, is always a tendency for gava, for the arrogance, for that sort of, this is a Midrash says, that because Adam was created one, there was a sort of misconception and yetzer hara, and an inclination to say that I am like the Creator. So a man views himself as God's greatest gift to mankind. Easy. It's a gava. And in general, women do not have that same sense of arrogance. If anything, it's usually lower self-esteem and issues in that direction. And even that is very much connected to so many stories in the Torah. How many times do we find that women violated the Averah of idol worship, and the men saved themselves from the Averah? I think 0. It's always the other way around. The men worships idols, and the women said absolutely not. As even we find that Rachel Imenu, she sacrificed herself for the sake of her father not worshiping idols. Always the imaot were the ones to sort of indicate, even with Avraham and Sarah, something a little bit more subtle. Avraham had a Yishmael. He's like, whatever, he's not so great, but we'll manage. I want him in the house. And Sarah says, absolutely not. Gotta get rid of him. He's terrible, terrible influence. The women have a sensitivity to things that men necessarily don't have. Again, an understanding, a depth in Maaseh Bereshit, in realizing our fallacies as males and the gift of females and what they give to the world and their deficiencies and our proficiencies is a very important concept in the Torah. You know, the secular world got it from Judaism. They came out with this book that has Chokhmat Olam called Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. And essentially what it's saying is that they come from different planets. Like Venus and Mars is I don't know how many light years away from each other, but very, 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 very far away from each other. And that's Harchek Kim Tahave Kishit, the distance between a man and a woman in their understanding of the world, their worldviews. And the Chokhmah isn't to sort of make them be the same. That's not what Hashem wants. Hashem created people different for the sake of them being different. But He wanted the man to realize the perspective, the humanity of the woman, and the woman to realize the humanity of the man, and to make shalom within that context. So that's what's unique about this parasha. Usually that's kind of the first thing that hits me. We're back to Bereshit, we're back to the creation of the world, we're back to understanding things properly in the right mentality, recalibrate to the purpose of this world, the mission of this world, the beauty of this world. Look at the beautiful world we have. And this is Maaseh Bereshit. This didn't always exist. The sun didn't always exist. That was a big chidush. You should know, we say that now in the 21st century, we say that like so confidently. But 100 years ago, you should know the entire world did not believe that there was a beginning to the world. An entire world. Science did not believe. 100 years ago, it's not even that long ago, right? What's 100 years in the scope of the world? 100 years ago, the prevailing theory was the world doesn't have a beginning. Olam Kadmon, like the Mitzrayim believed in the Avdi 3,000 years ago. Olam Kadmon. Then they introduced, Chidush. They came up with a new theory called the Big Bang Theory. The world really did have a beginning. It started from something. And they realized that 3,000 years of what they believed just fell apart right before their eyes. And you know who knew this? We did. In the first word of the Torah, it started Bereshit. Beginning. Torah already said there's a beginning. The scientists and the astronomers and everybody, all the wise people, Chachmei Umot HaOlam, said, no, there's no beginning. Come on, there can't be a beginning. And here comes the Torah. Little tiny sefer, one book over here, a few, how many thousands of words, tens of thousands of words. There's a beginning to the world. Who listened? Who cared? Who paid attention? All of a sudden, we're in the 21st century, and the whole world acknowledges that there was a beginning. Baruch Hashem, they finally came to see the light, that there's a beginning. Soon they'll understand that there was a beginning, but the rest of the Torah is also true. Not just the first word is true that you didn't believe, but it's such a testament that Baruch Hashem, we're so lucky. Here we are with the truth for 3,000 years. We didn't need scientists to tell us. We didn't need microwaves in outer space to come and to say, there's this and this. Okay, there must have been a beginning. We didn't need all that. We had it. In the first word, we had it. Every little kid knew that there's a Bereshit. And that's how we have to approach every word of the Torah. The Baruch Hashem, if science hasn't yet caught up, they'll catch up. If philosophy hasn't caught up, if psychology hasn't caught up, if the understanding of human nature hasn't caught up, it will eventually, but everything written here in this Sefer is truly, truly amazing. One of the things is, like, you think about it, you ever studied the sun? How many people actually took time to study the sun? It's kedai. It's really a true avodat Hashem. Science is not one of those subjects that I'm against in school. Some subjects I'm pretty much against. I probably shouldn't tell you this, but I'm pretty against Chinese history and all these weird 3,000 years ago things that are bimit not no again is gover on teaching them idol worship of other nations. Why do we need to know what the Greeks worshipped 2,000 years ago? We really don't need. The global history you might need. It's kedai. Certainly Jewish history is very important. It's very relevant to understand Jewish history. But a lot of the nitty-gritty details that they give people, there's not much to gain from it. But I'll tell you one thing. Science, I'm a big believer in. And it's not me. It's the Chovot HaLevavot. A person looks at the world, understands science. A scientist has a better recognition, if he has his head on straight, he has a better recognition of HaKadosh Baruch Hu than the average person, because he knows how complicated it is to have everything work out. Just take something as simple as the distance between the sun and the earth, or even something even more simple, the moon and the earth. The moon was a little bit closer, it would basically fall into earth. There wouldn't be. The moon would go around, 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 and it would get smaller, 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 and whoop, gravity would just suck it in if it was closer. And if the earth didn't spin as fast as it spins now, it would have also spelled disaster if the world would just stop spinning. It just stops. Half the world would burn, earth would burn, and the other half would freeze. And really, by it stopping to spin, since all the clouds are still in motion, you would have tsunami waves that you can't even imagine. It would destroy even like the strongest of buildings, would never survive. So if the earth actually stopped revolving, everybody would die immediately. There's amazing things that are happening on a regular basis. If the atmosphere was a little bit thicker, if the atmosphere was less thick, then the radiation of the sun would be strong. I don't even understand half of the things, but even the basics that I know is just simply incredible niflaot haboreh. So the question really is, how come we don't appreciate these things? How come we don't appreciate the sun? I look at the sun and I'm like, okay, it's here every day. It rises, it sets, it's there. Clock. It never comes late. It never wakes up late, right? It doesn't say, oh well, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to go ahead and I feel like sleeping in, right? The sun is always consistent. Why isn't it something that we say is incredible? But how we should be happy every single day that we have such a gift called the sun. People do pay. You know solar panels, right? Yeah. How many people here have solar panels, right? They have subsidies now. They're running out. But they have solar panels. People pay whatever, 40,000, 50,000, whatever they pay. It comes out with the subsidies a lot less to put in solar panels. Solar panels basically takes one element of the sun and converts it into tremendous benefit. You imagine the sun itself, how much benefit we get, how much money would the world spend if you were to ask every single person, right now, the service of the sun is going to stop. How much are you willing to spend to keep the service of the sun going? There's no amount of money that we wouldn't spend because our life would depend on it. So such an incredible gift. Why are we not happy about it? So there's a lot of explanations, but one of the explanations is human nature is that we love to be happy about things that were given to us uniquely. Let's say I get this, it used to be my time. Today, I don't think it's become in it so much, but there's always like these waves. But yo-yos. You remember yo-yos? Yeah. Maybe when you were kids. I was like probably 12 or 13. It became really in brain yo-yos and used to do all these cool tricks with them. And it was like there was the chashuv ones and the less ones and the rip-off brands. And it was like a whole thing. It became a big thing. So imagine you got like the best yo-yo. The butterfly yo-yo, yeah. You got the butterfly yo-yo. And, but you have 5 brothers. And your father decided, I'm not just going to get you a yo-yo. I'm going to get all 5 brothers. Everybody's going to get that $100 yo-yo, best, beautiful, amazing yo-yo. You don't feel so special. You're like, okay, whatever, everybody else got it too. Human nature is not to appreciate things that, even if they're great, but it's not just for you. You got one, he got one, everybody got it. It's like, okay, fine, but we're all in the same boat. You don't feel unique. And the truth of the matter is, you know what that stems from? Because our nature is such that when we see others have it, it sort of makes us feel like it's taken away from us. But listen to this. Imagine if a person had the highest level of ve'afta l'reacha kamocha. Turn up his love for his friend to the highest, to the a 90% instead of it being at a 10%. So now everything that his friend gets, he's super happy about because it's like he got it. Ve'afta l'reacha kamocha. I love him like I love myself. So how much is he going to appreciate the sun? It's not just a gift I received. He's happy for everybody. It's like exponential happiness. Incredible thing. A person that works on his ben adam lachavero, all of a sudden becomes a happier person because he's happy not just with what he receives, but what everybody else around him receives. He's also excited. He's thrilled about it, like a father. Imagine a father, and he works hard, and he does so much. He spends all his energy for his children, does whatever he could. And then his sons win the lottery. They buy a lottery ticket together, and they win the lottery. They win the $1 billion they win. You think the father's going to be like, oh, I'm so annoyed. I've been working all these years, and now all of a sudden they win. He's going to be excited My children won the lottery. Baruch Hashem, I'm so happy for them. It's exciting. Let's throw a party. Let's spend the time together. Of course. So imagine if you had that kind of relationship, that kind of with every person around you. Every minute of the sun is like solar panels on all their homes. You're soaking in and all of this amazing, amazing energy. Baruch Hashem. So that's the mentality the Torah wants to give us. Let's take one thing from one of my favorite, I guess, episodes of this parasha. Is you probably think I say television? No, not television. Episodes of this parasha of Cain and Hevel. It's so amazing to see a story that unfolds, that kind of unfolds like in everybody's lives in one way or another. But Cain owns half the world. Hevel owns the other half of the world. And somehow they managed to fight. It's like the most bizarre thing in the world. These people were richer than the richest person. I mean, imagine, they owned all of Manhattan. The whole real estate of Manhattan they owned. They were the richest people in the world. So what's wrong with half the world? Like, okay, so you don't get the whole world? Oh, fine, you're gonna get half and you're gonna get half. Why are you fighting? So because he has the other half. The human nature of he has the other half, just simply consume them. But there's a lot of levels to this. Because if you look at the Midrash, the Gemara tells us that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, this is two choices. Okay, question with two choices. Who does HaKadosh Baruch Hu root for and back? The person who's the victimizer or the victim? The victim. Is a Meforash, it says, Ha'elokim yevakesh et hanirdaf. In Hebrew, there is something called a rodef. I'm sure you learned that in yeshiva. Rodef is a person who's chasing after. He's the victimizer, aggressor, you could call him. And then there's a nirdaf, the person who's running away. It's called the nirdaf. So Ha'elokim yevakesh et hanirdaf. Hashem always seeks out the one who is being chased, who's running away, who's victimized. Everybody knows that. But do you know where the source for that is? Where is it sourced in the Torah? That Hashem is mevakesh et hanirdaf. You'll never guess. Unless you know the Chazal, you never guess. It's sourced in Cain and Hevel. Shene'emar, says the Gemara, Shene'emar, as it says, Vayisha Elokim el Hevel ve'el minchato. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu accepted the korban of Hevel. So Hashem is backing those that are victimized. Rabotai, I have a simple question on the timeline. Timeline question. When was Hevel victimized? Because Cain killed him, right? I mean, I guess that's the victimized part of it, because Cain got up, Vayakum Cain and Hevel achi vayargeu, and he kills him. So, Shene'emar, how do I know that Hashem backs the victim? Because it says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu accepted the korban of Hevel. The reason Cain tried to kill Hevel is because Hevel's korban was accepted. So how can you say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu backs the victim because he accepted the korban of Hevel, but he wasn't a victim until his korban was accepted. So it sounds completely backwards. What's the Gemara talking about? It's a very difficult Gemara. You think about it, it doesn't make any sense on its face. You hear the question? It's a very strong question. It's like he's only a victim after the korban is accepted, but you're saying the proof that Hashem is with the victim is because his korban was accepted. That's backwards. No, that we'll have to deal with. You're right. That's a different question. It's not bigger or smaller. It's a different question. But that's a good question. At the end of the day, Hevel got killed. But in terms of the accepting of the korban, his korban was accepted.
Who owned the land? Cain.
Cain was Oved Adama, right?
Doesn't it say that he kept chasing him? He says, "I own the land, so you have nowhere to go. Get off." But he kept, shooing him away. That was the aggression towards Hevel. When they got into their little spat, he just said, he kept telling him.
Okay, but what does that have to do with the korbanot? You're saying the aggression happened before?
Bullying is.
Okay, but the Torah doesn't really record that. Listen, the Torah doesn't give us a connotation to that. So how do you prove that from the Shene'emar? Because it has to be something that's embedded in the Torah. So I saw a beautiful pshat. Who? To twins. Yeah, he was. Yeah, there's a lot of midrashim, but I'm saying in the psukim itself, they're saying the Torah, the midrash brings a proof from the psukim. Sheneimah. The pshat is as follows. Whose idea was it to bring korban? Cain. Right, Cain. Cain had the idea. It was his innovation to bring a korban. Which is very interesting because in a certain sense you say, wow, so he innovated the idea, but his korban wasn't accepted. So you have to ask, why wasn't his korban accepted? So the answer is, Cain, with bringing the korban, was actually, interestingly, an aggressor. Here's a very interesting thing. Here's a person, Cain, doing a mitzvah, developing a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but he's an aggressor. Why is he an aggressor? So think about it. Cain, you thought of a brilliant idea. You're going to get close with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, amazing. You're going to have a korban. What about your brother? Why don't you let him in on the secret? Why don't you inform him, let's do this together. Let's participate in this. Because you want an in with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You want to say, I am the guy that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to be favorite with. I'm going to be the goody two-shoe over here. And says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's a very aggressive mitzvah. Sometimes people, under the guise of a mitzvah, can actually act very aggressively in a negative way. If you have a great idea, something amazing to improve Avodat Hashem, and you have a brother, and you actually love your brother, and you care about your brother, get him involved. Say, well, I mean, he's not going to want to be part of it. Well, how do you know? Did you actually talk to him? Did you consult with him? So you're just going to go about it yourself? The fact that Cain was willing to do it, go it alone, and develop a relation with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and sideline Hevel in that relationship is an aggressive mitzvah. It's not a mitzvah HaKadosh Baruch Hu is proud of. It's aggressive, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I don't want your korban. A korban that doesn't involve others. You have an opportunity to bring others on board that would have been very interested. It's not like he had any experience with Cain, with Hevel, that he was against it or something like that. He would have been very interested and glad to help. So why did you get involved? Because I want it to be me and Hashem. I don't want it to be with my brother. Me and Hashem want to be connected. My mitzvah, my innovation. That's pasud. That's victimizing others. And this is how careful we have to be. Look how subtle that is. Here's a person, I am sure Cain thought he was doing something amazing. Here I am getting close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And how did HaKadosh Baruch Hu perceive it? This is I don't want this. This is an aggressive action. This is not an action of Avodat Hashem. Just because it's called a mitzvah, it doesn't mean it's less aggressive to his own brother. So he was willing to sacrifice a relationship with his brother and develop a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu at the expense of his brother. I'm not interested, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's pretty powerful. And therefore, Dafka his korban wasn't accepted, and Hevel's korban was accepted. Unbelievable. Then he became the aggressor. How would he have participated? We'll join together. We'll do it together, or let's do it simultaneously.
At the end of the day, he participated. Who told him to participate?
So he found out. He found out from I don't know, either from Cain that I already brought a korban or something like that. But the point is, Cain did a beautiful idea. You're the first person in the world to do this. So get your brother involved. Let's do it together. Now you want your brother to be second place. I got there first. I got to the Olympics. I beat everybody. That's not Avodat Hashem. That's Avodat yourself.
No more individualized bidding on holidays, only groups.
We do a lot of groups, Baruch Hashem. Huh? No, it doesn't have to be all of them. It's not a innovation. It's not an innovation. Cain came up with an innovation. You're doing something that's above the requirement. So then get others involved. Get people involved. And especially since it was a new idea, there's a bidding. You can't compare bidding to that. He's bidding. There's nothing new, nothing original is happening over here. So everything has its proper context. But the proper context here was very, very aggressive. The main point that I'm trying to bring out is the mentality that we think that we're doing something good. A person has to check himself 100 times over to know what's really motivating him and what's actually happening under the surface. Any one of us would have said Cain is doing a great thing, but Hashem didn't view it that great. Hashem was not impressed with Cain's conduct and thought process. Yes, question, be side.
This seems to be stemming from Gava. what Cain tried to do, because if that would be the case, then I forgot who, but Hashem offered that he would walk in Gan Eden with him. Hashem,
You're talking about Yerovam and David.
yeah, and then he said the order was switched. And he's like, wait, who would go first? Like,
Yeah.
Based off of this, was this? So that was
What story? The Midrash says that Yerovam was taking a turn for the worse. It says that Hakadosh Baruch Hu comes to Yerovam because he was be'etzim a great tzaddik, a very worthy person, inherently a wise man, very worthy. So his question is, Hakadosh Baruch Hu says to him, like, Chazor becha, stop what you're doing, like you're going down the wrong path over here. Come back. Ve'ani ve'ata u'ben Yishai nitalech beGan Eden. Me, you, and Ben Yishai will go together in Gan Eden. Like, stop what you're, the madness. So he says, Mi barosh. So Yerovam tells HaKadosh Baruch Hu who's going to be ahead, me or Ben Yishai? Who's going to be ahead? He says, Ben Yishai barosh. He says, if so, I'm not interested. So Gava. Obviously, this is a great man. It says, we say these words. We say these words, but these people were light years beyond anything we could imagine. I mean, Yerovam's commitment to Torah was far surpassing anything we could understand. The Gemara praises his wisdom and intellect and knowledge of Torah like nothing else. And the fact that he was chosen to be king, it means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sanctioned his righteousness. Elama, power develops a yetzer hara. And you could take something and perceive it as a mitzvah when really it is a terrible sin. And Yerovam thought that he was doing the right thing. I don't know if that conversation happened in actual form or it happened internally, and the sort of was his struggle was always trying to keep up with Ben Yishai, and that really is what brought him down because it got too competitive, so to speak. But this was a great man. But either way, he faltered because of Ga'ava. I don't think that this is exactly related to this. I do think there is some notes of connection, but here the point is that it's not about you. It's about other people too. And if you could get others involved in the mitzvah and be mizakeh them, then that's part of your responsibility. We find great rabbanim that took that approach, that when people wanted to finance a yeshiva and they said they wanted to take the whole project upon themselves, they refused. They said you could take a nice portion, but you can't take the whole project because you're depriving others of that unique opportunity of doing the mitzvah. So this concept is recurring in the Torah. Yes, Boris, question.
Cain doesn't get dinged for like not running it by his father, his Rebbe.
I don't know the dynamic, but it doesn't seem like there. I mean, I didn't see in the Chazal that he was at fault for not running it by his father. But it sounds like a good point. Like, I'm not sure. We do find by Nadav and Avihu that they were really held to task for not consulting Moshe and Aaron. I don't know why. I don't think we find in Chazal that he was blamed on that element. Not sure why. It's a good observation. But we really want to get back to Ephraim's question, and that is, at the end of the day, why did Heved deserve to be killed? Like, if he died, unless you want to learn like the Orach Chaim, but this is it's a very tough Orach Chaim. Most of the poskim don't seem to agree with it. Is that a person can sort of override the destiny by making a decision? But most poskim seem to learn, and maybe even the Orach Chaim only meant it in a specific context, that it's the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So nobody can harm anybody, and nobody can kill anybody just because they want to kill somebody, if Hashem doesn't decree that that's the case. So if so, that means that Heved really did something wrong. Otherwise, why would Hashem punish him? You can't even use Girgurim. Like, you can't even use Girgurim. There's like nobody to be gonna get over here. So like, what did he do wrong that he deserved to be killed? That's a very fair and good question. The commentaries, I did see this a while ago. I tried to track it down. I couldn't find it, but I'll find it eventually. One of the commentaries say that Heved had a different crime. And this is again like a very subtle crime, but on their level they were held to task for. What's the crime? Your brother's korban wasn't accepted, and yours was. You're not going to go over to him. You're not going to be menachem him. You're not going to go and encourage him. You're not going to tell him anything. You're just going to leave him there in his depressed, rotten state. You're not going to try to bring him up.
And rub it in his face?
And what?
And rub it in his face?
No, to try to be mechazek him And to say, figure out a way, you're his brother, you know how to talk to him, compensate him, maybe give him a different opportunity to do a mitzvah. But something's got to happen. Maybe just feel bad. I don't know. Maybe just feel bad. If there's nothing you could do, then feel bad about it.
Felt the same way.
Huh?
Benina felt the same way.
Benina? What, in what sense?
Towards Hannah.
So what?
She came to her and she made her feel bad, and she sort of came to her.
No, but she did it intentionally to make her feel bad. I'm not saying to make him feel bad. I'm saying the opposite. Penina should have gone to Hannah. Bezat Hashem will answer your tefillot. Keep praying harder. You're going to get answered. Hashem will be there with you. And everybody has their own mission in the world. And the halevai, that the effort that I put in should go to your zechut. If Penina would have done that, she would have been rewarded. Instead, she'd do, what about your kids? Where are your kids? Your children are there? No, they're not there. Oh, okay. Oh, I forgot. Right, you don't have kids. Right. So she rubbed it in. Now, she did that l'shem shamayim. But it's exact opposite. What she should have done is she should have assuaged her concerns and made her feel good about what, not inferior. And that's really what Hevel should have done. So Hevel lacked in Ben Adam Lahavero too. His brother is suffering. His brother is wailing. He wants a connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And you have it. So do something. Say, you know what? I know my korban was accepted. I'm going to pray to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bezat Hashem, Ischut my korban. Your korban should also be accepted. Maybe we could figure out a way to improve it, to do a 2.0 version. Nothing. Hevel just like, whatever, let him rot. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, now on our level, maybe that crime wouldn't be death worthy, chas v'shalom. Like, we're on a very different level. But it certainly teaches us the sensitivity that a person must have. But for Hevel, that was such an egregious crime that it was deserving of death. Your brother feels so much pain. He's in avelut. You're not going to go to the bimenachem avel. It's like such a terrible thing that on his level, he deserved a very serious punishment for that. Or you could just say, even if it wasn't a punishment, it was like this kind of, I'm going to have great-great-great-grandfathers with that kind of a tendency, the world will never be able to succeed. It'll never survive. When you have such a flaw in the original product, so then all of the offspring they have no hope. So it's not even kedai for them to start. Like we find by the 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva, they were all wiped out because Hashem said a Torah that is tainted with honor and with disrespect for Talmidei Chachamim is a Torah that's not worth giving over. And it's better they should die than give over a Torah with such a disease, with such contamination. And that kind of mentality could have been, it wasn't like necessarily a punishment, but it was sort of like, it can't continue the Torah this way. So that's another powerful point. Ramosha Feinstein, Binyamin, I'm going to take your question.
So it's better to have an ancestor if someone kills people?
If what?
It's better to have an ancestor if someone kills people, not for someone who doesn't feel bad?
Cain didn't, he was also not, his Zera was also not. Adirabba, everything came from shit. All Bnei Adam came from shit, not from Cain. Cain was not, his lineage was wiped out. So it's not really the case. It's not like Cain managed to survive. Him personally, he managed to survive. He had a few generations, but they were all wiped out. At the end of the day, the surviving humanity is all from shit. All the Shivum Umot Ha'olam, everything came from shit that we have today. So that's not really accurate. Lemaaseh, there is Rav Moshe Feinstein. He says a completely different approach to Cain and Hevel. He says that which one made more sense? The Korban. If you look at the actual Korban, okay, Cain brings from the cheap stuff of the land, the flax, pishtan of the land, and Hevel brings from the fat sheep. So sort of our natural inclination is like, bring the best. You're talking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you're offering a sacrifice. If you have to you do the best. Like Kirat Avodat Hashem, we don't put Rolexes, we put Rolexes on our walls. Because the Bet HaKnesset deserves the best, right? We don't deserve second class. And we have, who's the guy? Versace? Gucci. We have Gucci by the Sefer Torah. We put handkerchiefs of Gucci, the Sefer Torah, because the Sefer Torah deserves Gucci. We don't need Gucci. Who needs Gucci? But the Sefer Torah should get the best. So Rav Ovadia would be driven around in a, BMW. A white BMW. That in those days it was a very chashuv. Why? Because Kvod Torah, you do the highest standards. The Gemara says, the Midrash tells us that gold should not have been in the world in the first place. The only reason it had merit to be in the world is for the Mishkan and the Beit HaMikdash. That was the reason gold was created in the world, was so that it should be in the Beit HaMikdash and the Mishkan. Because today it's abused. Everybody has gold, and this gold's all the industry of gold. But it's not that it's asur. Once it was put into the world for the Beit HaMikdash, it's not like Hashem said only for Beit HaMikdash. It does have a basis and a usage in the world, but lemaaseh, its only right to exist was because of Beit HaMikdash. So certainly that should always be the priority of where to put the funds and the emphasis and the kavod and the honor should always be in those areas. So if you think about it, you say, okay, you're bringing a korban. Of course you bring the best. Of course Hevet is right. Says Moshe Feinstein, take emotion out. Take your personal emotions out and think just straight up logic. Cain is right. Cain did the right thing. Logically speaking, he did the right thing. How is it the right thing to bring the cheapest? Very simple. Does HaKadosh Baruch Hu need anything? He doesn't need anything. Does it benefit him to have big sheep offered to him? Does he gain from it? Does it make any difference to HaKadosh Baruch Hu if it's a big sheep? If you bring all the sheep of the world, if you don't bring all the sheep of the world, doesn't need it. He's HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's his world. He doesn't need any of it. So why are you doing it? You're doing it to show appreciation to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What shows more appreciation? When you take the gift that Hashem gave you and you throw it back in his face, or you take it and you cherish it. A guy gives you $1,000. You say, thank you so much. I'm going to burn 500 right now, and the other 500 I'm going to use. I mean, that doesn't really show much appreciation. I gave you $1,000. Why are you burning 500? If you say, look, I want to show you appreciation, so $1, I'm going to go ahead and put it away and never use it just to show that I got the money. I could understand that. So Cain wants to say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I don't want to do nothing, because then it'd be like it belongs to me, and I want to show that it belongs to you. So says Cain, I'm going to take the cheapest thing, because I want to appreciate all the gift that you gave me. I don't want to squander it. It's a beautiful gift. It's amazing. You gave me a matana. To show appreciation for that gift, I'll give you the smallest. Makes a lot of sense. It's actually pretty ironclad. Moshe Feinstein says it is ironclad. Everything he said was perfectly logical, from beginning to end. Cain was mechadesh the idea of the korban, but he said, I introduced this, I invented this idea. I'm doing it in the right way, to give as minimal as possible, to not squander the gift that Hashem gave me of being this world. And Hevet does the opposite. Hevet brings a big fat korban, takes the best that he has, and he just basically gives it to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He doesn't need it. So you're wasting Hashem's gift to you. That's what Cain was saying. So where did he go wrong? Right? It's almost too good to be true. Where did he go wrong?
Being about that.
Says Emmanuel.
If it's a sacrifice, if you sacrifice something that's valuable to you, if it's less of a sacrifice if you're sacrificing something less valuable.
But what's the point of sacrifice? To who are you giving it? You're giving it to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? So the pshat is, if I'm just acknowledging that the whole world belongs to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so then why give from the best? You're denying the gift of Hashem. You're throwing it back in his face. He doesn't need it. So if you're giving an actual gift to a human being like an ani, right? So the more you give, the better. He'll be able to use more money, buying power. He's going to have $1,000 instead of $500. Good, Baruch Hashem. That makes sense. But if you're giving, you're not. What do you mean giving it to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? You're basically burning up this animal, and it doesn't show more than just it's not mine. So why take the best? You're squandering the gift. It says Moshe an incredible thing. Not exactly gava. You were saying gava. He says a little different. He says Torah is not just logic. Torah is not just sound logic. Torah is a relationship. It's a relationship with the Ribono Shel Olam. There's emotions. A relationship has emotions. And in emotions, you don't give the smallest thing. You don't take the smallest. Do you want a relationship just intellectual? Kadosh Baruch Hu, math, science? No. A relationship is about devotion, is about caring, not necessarily having to make perfect sense, but I want a relationship with you. I'm a human being. The humanity side of the relationship is so important to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Today, this is one of the reasons why tefillah is so hard for a lot of people. Because the relationship in the world we live in is very intellectual based. Our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu is, and some of it is accurate. It's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be not intellectually based. It is supposed to be intellectually based. It's not a bad thing that the whole Gemara is intellectual. Step, back step. Okay, Tosfot's question, Rishonim, Achronim. Everything is about intellectual. But there's an important element that you cannot forget. As a human being and as a Kadosh Baruch Hu, who is really the owner of all emotions that we feel emanate from the neshama, which emanates from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He's the source of all the emotions. So that relationship is an ahava. Ahava mekalkeret et hashura. True love is blinding. It really is. It's supposed to be. It's part of it. So when there's an actual love, when it's not just a computer, you cannot develop a relationship with a computer. You cannot love a computer. It's not called love. It's loving yourself. You can love yourself via the computer, but you can't develop a relationship. It's not a two-person relationship. There's no love. There's no sacrifice. There's no commitment. There's a new computer that comes out. You take the old computer and say, "Get out of here! I got a new computer." Baruch Hashem, it's a new computer. It's a lot better than the old one. When it comes to a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's a completely different thing. Hashem is not a computer. He's not a computer. It's a mahut. It's a father-son. It's a melech eved. It's a relationship. You're dealing with a relationship. How can I bring the worst? What kind of a relationship is that? That's not how it works. So, intellectually speaking, the logic says Rav Moshe Feinstein. It's great that it comes from Rav Moshe Feinstein. If it would have come from Im Kol HaKavod, like a Hasidish Rebbe, like the Hasidim are very Hamisha. They're very loving and this, and they're not about logic so much. Rav Moshe Feinstein was like the most methodically logical person ever, like created in the world. Most people don't even read, they only read Igrot Moshe. Right? He wrote 2 major Sfarim. One was called Dibrot Moshe, which people basically never even heard of, and Igrot Moshe. Igrot Moshe is so difficult to read because he's going through Gemarot so fast. And it's like hard. And it's a tenth of what Dibrot Moshe is impossible to read. The man asks like 15 questions, like on a Gemara. 15 questions, he just goes pages and pages and pages answering them. It's like, how did he even think of 15 questions as like a 10-line Gemara? How do you think of 15 questions in a 10-line Gemara? I don't even know. He said you can't just read it. Talmidei Chachamim struggle. It's almost never quoted because it's so difficult to read and to understand and to get the wavelength is just beyond anything. This man is as methodically thinking as you could be. And he's saying, and his Drash Moshe, his other sefer on Chumash, he's the one that says, Torah and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not about logic. I'm the most logical person, but that's in terms of learning Gemara, you have to be logical. But when you're devoted to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's a relationship. It's far beyond logic. It's a love that blinds you, that connects you, that's an emotional development. And this is why singing is so important. Tefillah is so important. Why is that important? There's nothing to do with logic. What does singing have to do with logic? What's logical about singing? David HaMelech had such a relation with HaKadosh Baruch Hu because he was referred to as Ne'im Zemirot Yisrael. The great singer in Am Yisrael. The great Zemirot v'tishpachot. They were songs, psukim comprising of songs, the Kinot David, the harp of David HaMelech. These are elements of Avodat Hashem. These are a whole unit of element that really has nothing to do with logic. It's a devotion. And that level of devotion sometimes carries a person far more than the logical relationship that a person has. As we find in the times of the desert, where Am Yisrael were in the desert, every single one of the tribes believed Moshe Rabbeinu was dead. Except for one, Shevet Levi. They didn't want to believe. They refused to believe. Now you say, well, they were great tzaddikim. But that's not what the Sfono says. The Sfono says, the pshat was, they had a relationship with Moshe Rabbeinu that was super close. It was family to them. Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't just an intellectual leader to them. He was of them. He was part of them. They were father-son relationship. They couldn't believe that he was dead. Meaning they struggled with the eyes that saw, they said, no, it can't be. We're not willing to accept. The ahava, the love that connected them to Moshe Rabbeinu is what essentially drove them to be loyal to Moshe Rabbeinu, even defying what everybody else in Am Yisrael is seeing with their own eyes. that the Malach is showing, the Malach HaMavet is showing them, they said, no, we're not accepting. And the truth was they saw correctly. They saw through all of the masks and all of the charades and all of the smoke screens that the Malach HaMavet was presenting to Am Yisrael. They were able to see through. But what gave them that anchor that towed them into the right place? Ahava. It was not logic. It was Ahava. It was, we have a relationship with Moshe Rabbeinu. We were there. We saw him. We learned from him. He's with us. We're not willing to accept that he's dead. It's an incredible thing. And that's the loyalty that HaKadosh Baruch Hu seeks in his leaders, in his nation, in Am Yisrael. So it really makes us very special is that this nation, HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose us. So a lot of people don't know this Gemara. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw all the nations. He saw every single nation. And he was Bocher Banu. He chose us as the nation. So one reason is because Avotenu HaKedoshim, the great forefathers. But there's a reason we today are chosen as the nation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Today, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu had to make the decision again, or he does, we learned about this. Every Rosh Hashanah he redecides. He chooses us again. Why does he choose us? So what's the quality that makes Am Yisrael so special? You know what the quality is? This is Gemara in Masechet Betzah, is loyalty. He knows that Am Yisrael is a Am Kshe Orif. Now Kshe Orif is not a positive thing. Kshe Orif means a very stubborn nation. It's a super stubborn nation. But stubborn people are great. Why? Because it might take a long time to acquire their loyalty, but the minute that you do acquire their loyalty, they'll never leave you. They'll remain with you till the end, no matter what happens, no matter what logic dictates. And look at Am Yisrael, 3,000 years of illogical survival. And what does Am Yisrael do? As much as a lot of times persecutions, Holocaust, more than any other nation. There's not a nation in the world that suffered as much as Am Yisrael suffered. And yet we're devoted and loyal to HaKadosh Baruch Hu against all logic. Nobody else would accept that in any other relationship. Would a person accept such a dynamic? Yet HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows that I have to acquire this nation. I will do miracles for them. I will show them how much I love them. And then I expect of them to show back the loyalty in times where it's emunatcha balelot, where it's dark at night and it doesn't make any sense. That's where loyalty kicks in. And this was the ultimate quality that got Am Yisrael to be the chosen nation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is so incredible. This is a devotion. This is literally the mistake Cain made. That he said, no, relationship is about intellect. It's about, well, what did HaKadosh Baruch Hu give me? Well, he gave me the whole world. So what, I'm going to take it and burn it in front of him? Well, then your relationship is with a robot. I'm sorry. It's not a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And this is not how we're supposed to focus our relationship. It's all very nice. There's supposed to be logic. There's supposed to be mitzvot, Torah, ma'asim tovim. But devotion is a very big part of that. And there should be things that happen in our life that I just say, you know what? I just love HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. I love him too much. I'm not going to disappoint him. And that's a very big driving force. So how do we build that in our own lives? A lot of it is about... first of all, tuning a lot of things out. I mean, the more we tune out other things, the more we're able to develop a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's just too much static in the air a lot of times. It's the same reason why you look outside. I did this on Sukkot. It was like the middle of the night. It was a clear day, and I was like looking outside to count the stars. I'm like, why do I only see like 6 stars? Do you ever look outside? In like New York City, obviously. You can only see like 6 stars. I see that star, I see that. I'm like trying to find more. I was like, there's barely any more stars. Like, where did all the stars go? And the answer is, everybody knows the answer. The answer is this tremendous amount of light. There's so much light in New York, from buildings, from stadiums, from everything, that it actually, you don't see it. You don't see it, but there's light in the atmosphere. And that light blocks out, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of stars that you're supposed to see at night. There's supposed to be hundreds of thousands of stars. You go to places in the middle of nowhere, you could literally see galaxies you could see. It's incredible. And all of that, we can't even see it. Why? Because the light is drowning. So if that's true for light, it's certainly true with relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Like, I can't see HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Where is he? I can't find him. He's somewhere. The answer is there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of static that's drowning it out. So to tune that down is a very big ma'ala in so many ways. It's actually connected to Simchat Torah. There's a beautiful mashal. As we went through Simchat Torah, is really a high point. It says that why is it difficult for some people to connect to Torah? You know, some people, they just sit and they're like suffering through a shiur. It's like torture for them. They're just waiting, looking at the clock, when I gotta get out, when I could go. Actually, very funny. I was just reading today, what are the 3 things? It's a little bit of a joke. Baruch Hashem, I'm not saying about our kira, but kochot hanefesh of people. What gets people to sort of get antsy and rushy and want to leave? So there's really 3 things. A drasha. They can listen to a drasha from a Rav, and it's like, fine, whatever, let's go. When is he going to finish? I want to already do the kiddush. I'm waiting for the kiddush. That's one thing. And then there's another thing, a chazan that just takes forever. The chazan is just like forever. He just keeps on singing and mawali, and they're like, dai kvar, yalla, nigmar sipur. And the third thing is when people make appeals. And they come in and they say, okay, we have this cause, why much you want to donate? How much you want to donate? Let's go donate. Yalla, nigmar sipur, nigmar inyan. So those are the 3 things people rush for. So it's a beautiful chazal to back this up. Al shlosha dvarim ha'olam omed, al Torah, al avodah, ve'al gemilut hasadim. 3 things the world stands on, right? What does it stand on? Torah, avodah, gemilut hasadim. You know what else? The interpretation? Al shlosha dvarim ha'olam omed. This is 3 things that the world stands and gets up and leaves. The world being people. The olam gets up and walks out. When are they omed? Ala Torah. When there's a shiur going on, they want to get up and leave. Ala avodah. Avodah is tefillah. They want to get up and eat. And what's the third one? Gemilut hasadim. Ha'olam omed. They get up and they want to get out of here. So that's a reality of the world. But the real devotion, real relationship, real strength, real koach is through the Torah, it's through the commitment, it's through drown out all this noise that's around us, and Be'ezras Hashem get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and develop the relationship Hevid had with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which wasn't exactly logical, but it's love, it's devotion, it's loyalty to Hashem. And through that, Be'ezras Hashem, we develop a beautiful connection, which gives so much warmth in our lives, so much light, so much starlight we could be zochet to see. Bimera ve'yamenu v'nomar amen. Chazak u'baruch. Baruch Adonai Olam v'amen. Rabbi Hanina בר יושע אומר, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות ישראל. לפיכך באמצעות מצוות